You. You have a trade?
Smith, my lord.
What are you looking at?
Welcome in. Ever wonder what goes on when they yell cut on a show known for its, let's just say, intense scenes?
Yeah.
Today's deep dive takes us behind the scenes of HBO's Game of Thrones. We're talking about the surprisingly tender off-screen relationship between two actors known for, well, their on-screen tension.
Right.
So we've got a bunch of recent interviews with Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
You know, the quick-witted Tyrion Lannister.
Of course.
And some really insightful older articles about Charles Dance, who played his father, Tywin Lannister.
And what's so interesting here is you have this incredibly intense, often brutal father-son dynamic play out on screen.
Yeah.
But then behind the scenes, this unexpected warmth and respect between Dinklage and Dance.
It's like stepping off the battlefield and into a warm embrace.
Right.
Which I can't imagine happened too often in the actual Game of Thrones world.
Right.
So for those who need a quick recap, we're talking about Tywin and Tyrion Lannister. Two powerful figures locked in this constant power struggle, fueled by ambition, resentment, and a whole lot of family dysfunction.
Oh, yeah. And that dysfunction, it's right there in their scenes together. Tywin's constant belittling of Tyrion, the humiliation, the threats. It all leads up to that awful climax where Tywin sentences Tyrion to death.
And you'd think that kind of on-screen animosity would bleed into their off-screen relationship. But here's where things get really interesting. We found out that after every single take, especially those really heavy emotional scenes, Charles Dance would apologize to Peter Dinklage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You've just poured your heart into being this cruel, domineering character, and then you turn to the other actor and apologize.
Yeah.
It says a lot about Dance as a person and as an actor.
And Dinklage himself said he found it very paternal, like this need to balance the harshness of their character's relationship with a little human warmth.
It's incredible. Dance actually said in a 2013 interview that he loved working with Dinklage, but felt like he had to apologize for the awfulness he inflicted on set, even if it was just acting.
Like, he knew how intense those scenes were, how much they would have taken out of any actor, even someone as experienced as Peter Dinklage. I think it adds a whole other layer to what we see on screen, don't you think?
Absolutely. It makes you think about what it means to play a character, especially one that's so different from yourself. To find that darkness, that cruelty, but still be empathetic and compassionate as a person. That's real talent and self-awareness.
And you have to wonder, does knowing that there's this undercurrent of respect and care, does it make the performance even better?
It definitely adds another dimension to it. It shows how professional and respectful the cast was, even when they were portraying these intense conflicting relationships. And that awareness, being able to separate the person from the character, that really sums up Peter Dinklage's whole approach to acting, wouldn't you say?
Totally. You can't really talk about Peter Dinklage without talking about his journey as an actor. He's all about authenticity, just like that really cool relationship he had with Charles Dance.
Exactly. Dinklage's career is really interesting. It's not like he just strolled into Hollywood. He had to make his own way, challenge the way things are usually done, and fight for roles that were actually interesting.
Yeah, he's mentioned how early on he even kind of pushed back against the whole traditional acting thing.
Yeah.
He was more into punk rock, all that raw energy and experimental theater.
There's that independent spirit again.
Yeah.
Like he just knew he wasn't meant to fit in,
Yeah.
He was going to do his own thing.
And he really did. Did you know Dinklage was even in a band? I can just picture him rocking out back in the day. They were really into the Beastie Boys. And get this, during one show, he got a head wound that left a scar.
Whoa, that's serious dedication. Shows how much he puts himself into his art, pushing boundaries and finding his voice. And you can see that energy in his acting, too. He brings that same realness to every role.
And that makes me think about something. It's so important to find your people, your community, especially in a field like acting that's so tough and competitive.
Definitely. You need people who get your vision, who make you want to be better, and who've got your back when things get hard.
It seems like Dinklage found that. You can see it when he talks about working with other actors, how much he enjoys it. It's like that idea of supporting each other really comes through in this story about Dinklage and Dance.
It does. Their story, even though it's set in this brutal fictional world, right? It reminds us that even in a super competitive environment, there's still room for kindness, empathy, even real connection.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's the takeaway for you? What should our listeners think about on their way to work or, while they're making dinner?
For me, it's this. We should try to look past the surface.
Okay.
We get so caught up in the characters, the drama, all the exciting stuff.
Right.
But then this whole thing with Dinklage and Dance, it reminds you that those are real people out there.
Yeah.
Dealing with all these complicated emotions and relationships, both on screen and off.
Such a good point. Makes you think about all those actors putting their hearts and souls into these characters, challenging themselves. And like you said, even saying sorry for what their characters do.
Exactly. And it shows how powerful it can be to be genuine, to be yourself. Dinklage's whole journey, from his punk rock days to the roles he chooses, it shows us how important it is to find your own way, your own people, and stay true to that.
It's a good lesson for everyone, right? No matter what our own lives look like.
Totally. Be open to unexpected connections, find your tribe, and never forget how much a little kindness can mean even when everything seems crazy.
Great place to end it. Thanks for diving in with us.